Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson and welcome back to the Steven Universe Retrospectives. And today we're going to be discussing episodes 41 and 42 of Steven Universe, Horror Club, and Winter Forecast. And as always, let's talk about the odd numbered episode first. In the case of Horror Club, what's going on is that Ronaldo has invited Steven and Sadie to pretty much a private horror film viewing. And that, as such, on the night in question, Steven drops by the Big Donut to pick up Sadie as they get off work, and Steven actually invites Lars to come along. And while Lars initially hesitant to go, once he sees Sadie going with Steven, he changes tune and decides, whatever, I'll go anyway. Though he does it in his typical Lars fashion, where he thinks it's uncool or stupid and all that bullshit and all that. Either way, they end up going to the lighthouse, which is where the initial meetup is supposed to be at. And while Ronaldo greets Steven and Sadie dressed as the Phantom of the Opera, the mood kind of goes from fun, scary to sour once Ronaldo sees Lars among him with Steven and Sadie, with even Ronaldo pulling Steven aside and asking, "Wait, are you friends with Lars?" And just thinking, this is going to be an experience." So, as a result, Steven they end up initially just watching some scary movies and just having the typical fun movie time, though Steven doesn't watch anything, either because he doesn't want to see the scary stuff or because he's still grounded on TV and he's actually enforcing the rule himself. But as they're all sitting down and watching the movie, the power starts acting faulty in the lighthouse. Everyone else thinks of rational explanations, like maybe there's something wrong with the power, maybe there's a short fuse, etc. But Ronaldo immediately jumps to the place is just haunted. Something that oddly seems to get proven right away as he pulls out a charm which is supposed to allow them to speak to the spirit, and the charm flies out of Ronaldo's hand and hits Lars in the face. And after seeing that, Ronaldo asks the spirit in question, "Hey, can you show us a couple more signs just to be sure?" And it results in pretty much everything in the lighthouse going insane. As a result of this, they end up running out of the main room of the lighthouse, but no matter where they go, things are just being weird. For example, in order to get out of the room, they had to break it down. They had to break down the door, and the door gets rebuilt. They all end up, when they get down to the front door of the lighthouse, these fake scarecrow decorations that, well, not fake scarecrow, but scarecrow decorations that Ronaldo put up in front seemingly come alive and attack them. And as everyone is arguing about what's causing all this, the floor seemingly opens up and swallows Sadie. Now, Ronaldo thinks that what they're dealing with is a poltergeist, and that the poltergeist is apparently targeting Lars, because things seem to be directly attacking him most. And Lars thinks this is stupid, and Steven, being Steven, thinks, no, it can't be him. But Lars, still being a jackass, ends up trying to say, it's like, "Hey, Sadie, you're not stupid. These guys are just nuts. This can't be a ghost. Come on, let's just get out of here and ditch them." And Sadie, being Sadie, says, "No, I'm not doing that," right before she gets swallowed up. As such, the group ends up going down to the basement where she got swallowed up into, and they seem to find the source of it. And sure enough, there's a part of the basement in the lighthouse that seems to be just throbbing, like a vein or whatever, and in the center of it is Lars's name. And so Ronaldo, being Ronaldo, thinks, "Oh, we just have to sacrifice Lars to this thing." And almost in response to this, the lighthouse grows a mouth, and immediately Ronaldo just grabs Lars with the intent of fully throwing him in, and yeah, that's kind of a dick move. Steven, though, however, even after he throws Lars into the lighthouse's mouth, Steven goes in to save Lars, and he managed to put a bubble up to keep it from chomping down, and as a result of this, it ends up breaking the thing's mouth, and all the weird shit just seems to stop, as it ends up breaking the portion of the wall the mouth was on, and Sadie thankfully comes out of this unharmed, but in the midst of the rubble, Steven finds a gem. He ends up picking it up, and upon picking it up, it suddenly shows a little flashback hologram that explains what's going on. And it turns out the reason why this thing was targeting Lars is because he was the one that put his name in the wall. It turns out that, for whatever reason, this gem was stuck in the walls of the lighthouse. And because of that, the lighthouse was like its body, so to speak. So it could feel everything that was going on inside. However, It turns out that when Lars and Ronaldo were kids, they were apparently friends. But hold on one second. Sorry about that puppy emergency. Anyway, as I was saying, Lars and Ronaldo were friends when they were kids, but what ultimately broke them up, and which is what we see in the hologram, was when Lars carved his name. It turns out that this warehouse was originally the lighthouse was going to be their little clubhouse, so to speak, and Lars was going along with it because he thought it was going to be like a little secret. However, he decided to commemorate the occasion. He decided to cut his name and Ronaldo's names into the lighthouse walls. However, he only managed to get as far as his name, as after he carved in the S, the gem reacted by causing one of the boards to smack him in the face. Which Ronaldo, being Ronaldo, even as a kid, took a picture of it because, oh my god, this is proof that that the whole house is haunted. And so he fully intended on distributing the picture to show everyone, hey look, this place is actually haunted. However, when Lars saw this, he didn't see, wow, this place is haunted. He saw, oh, that looks embarrassing because it shows me getting smacked in the face. As such, Lars wound up taking the picture, and without even really talking to Ronaldo, he wound up ripping it up. And Ronaldo, not really understanding why Lars would be so embarrassed by this, freaked out. As a result, they wound up getting into a fight, and things wound up ending with Ronaldo yelling at Lars, "Why do you care so much what people think about you?" And Lars said, "You would probably care as much too if you learn what they said about you." And after saying this, he just stormed off. As such, and once the hologram flashback ends, Steven bubbles the gem and sends it off. And in the present day, Lars, who's just kind of stewing, says, "Look, I'm sorry I ripped the picture. Okay, I know you can. I said it. You can all stop talking behind my back." But it does, and as such, the episode ends with Steven and Sadie deciding maybe we should just go, and Ronaldo and Lars have a brief moment where Ronaldo does try to say, "Look, I wasn't trying to embarrass you," but Lars, being Lars, just storms off without really having a conversation. So nothing really was learned, I think. It looks like Ronaldo learned something, but again, he didn't hear a talk, whatever. But that's one episode. What about Winter Forecast? In this case, what's going on is that Connie is hanging out with Steven, and basically they're spending the time roasting marshmallows and just stuffing them in their faces, just for having a good time overall. However, in the middle of all this, Connie's mom ends up calling them, and she wants Connie to come home right away because a storm is coming. A very big winter storm that, well, could potentially snow everybody in. As such, Steven and Connie don't want Connie to go because they want to spend the evening together, because if they do get snowed in together, maybe they can spend the time just sitting up and watching the snowfall. They think it would be really nice to do that, but yeah, Garnet, Pearl, and Amethyst come in, and Garnet ends up confirming, yep, there's going to be a blizzard tonight, so you guys better get going. As such, Steven does keep trying to push it by even trying to get Connie to watch this funny video he saw online, but Garnet pulls him aside and tells him that he needs to make the right choice before giving him a light peck on the forehead, which Steven thinks is just kind of nice. As such, Steven and Connie go to meet with Steven's dad, who's all ready to get them going, but Steven, to try and procrastinate on this, ends up talking his dad into changing clothes because his outfit was a sweater with cherries on it, and he intentionally keeps his dad up on going because he wants to not get to Connie's. As such, they keep having him trade through a bunch of outfits until he ends up in a disco outfit. But unfortunately, by the time they get going, the snow's come down pretty hard, and there are sheets of ice on the road. And unfortunately, as Greg's driving, he ends up sliding on one of those and crashes into a snowbank. And the end result, Greg takes Steven and Connie back to Connie's house by foot. But unfortunately, by the time they get to Connie's house, it's very much late, and because they all walked through the snow, Connie is now coming down with a fever. As a result, Connie's parents freak out. Dr. Mahesh Warren takes her daughter away, and while her dad tries to usher Steven and Greg out, well, because Greg's van is in a snowdrift, they can't exactly go anywhere. So her dad begrudgingly gets the couch ready so that he can spend the night. As such, Greg laments that now that his responsible parent motif facade is ruined. But as he's drying his hair out from all the snow, Steven happens to look at his outfit and sees this weird pattern on the back that seems to be pulsating. And the more Steven looks at it, the more he starts getting a headache. And the more it keeps going, it starts getting worse until finally there's like a brief pop, I think. And the next thing you know, Steven finds himself back when the van hit a snowdrift. He has absolutely no idea what's going on, but as his dad wants to, once again, walk all the way back to Connie's, Steven talks him into just staying in place because he thinks it'd be safer than just trying to brave the snow, which Connie's in agreement with because her family's all about safety. As such, they do actually hunker down, and while the snow does build up, they actually are safe and sound and even having lunch, even having food together. So things seem to be going well until Connie gets a call from her dad saying that he's going there, that he's coming to come pick her up. And unfortunately, one of the reasons why Connie was willing to go when she did was because apparently her dad is terrible at driving in the snow, which immediately gets proven as when the group sees him coming up by, he's just slipping, sliding all over the place, and by the time they try to tell him, no, we're right in front of you, don't do this, his car ends up sliding right into the van. However, it's at this moment when Steven has another pop, and this time he finds himself back when he and Connie went to go meet his dad, and he's still wearing the cherry shirt, and they're getting ready to go. Steven realizes that for some reason he keeps popping back in time, and so he decides, okay, fine, okay, he knows what's going to happen, we just can't go. As such, he takes Greg's van keys and throws them into the snowdrift. Hold on another second, puppy emergency. So yeah, like I said, Steven takes Greg's keys and throws them into a snowdrift, and after that, he immediately grabs Connie and tells Connie that she needs to stay at his place, and so Connie says, okay, fine, calls her mom, says she can't come, and when Connie's parents try to argue, Steven yells into the phone, listen, you have to tell your husband that he can't drive in the snow, which admittedly gets a humorous thing where Connie's dad says, well, yes, I can, but as Connie's parents continue arguing this, Steven takes Connie's phone and throws it into the snow, and they end up running back to Steven's house, but upon arriving, they see that the crystal gems are in the middle of a ritual, as we see them with the shooting star from the Centipedal episode, and it turns out that what they want to do is that they want to warp the shooting star to the galaxy warp. But why? They say that they want to destroy the galaxy warp so that they can't come back, which I'm guessing means the bad gems, so to speak. But they also make it clear that they have to be careful with this because they have to warp it there without warping themselves, and if it explodes within the warp, it could explode forever, so that would make the warp unusable. However, as they're contemplating this, Steven asks what the heck's going on, this gets Pearl's attention, and unfortunately this distracts them enough for the shooting star to explode, and once again for Steven to have another pop, before he's back at the moment when Garnet kissed his forehead. Again, puppy emergency. 1 second. So yeah, like I said, Steven's back at the moment when Garnet kissed his forehead. And it turns out the reason why Steven kept seemingly popping back, well, it turns out that was Garnet's future vision. Just for one brief second, she gave the power to Steven. And in that moment, Steven saw varying futures based on what he did at certain points. If he procrastinated, they would end up getting to Connie's late and she gets sick. At the moment when they would basically showcasing these different events if Steven made different choices at certain points. And through it all, Steven realizes, okay, I know what to do. As such, he takes Connie and they just go right to Greg. And so as Greg talks about they're getting an inch of snow, he says they have to go right now. And sure enough, because they leave right away, they manage to get on the road before there's any major ice buildup, which means they're able to get to Connie's in record time, which does actually impress the Maheshwarans rather nicely. As such, while Steven and Connie lament that they won't be able to watch the snowfall together, well, the Maheshwarans think that maybe it's not a good idea to drive in this weather and ask if the universes if they want to stay there because, well, they're all about safety. As such, this time Connie's dad happily gets the couches ready for the universes so they can spend the night. And so the episode ends with Steven just kind of lying on the couch before he sees Connie come downstairs in her nightgown before she comes over and rests next to Steven, and they both look out the window and watch the snowfall. It's just cute, and I like it, so. Okay, first off, let's talk about Horror Club. I don't care about the episode, but I can't say I hate it either. I think its major fault is it being a Ronaldo and Lars episode, and as I've showcased in these vlogs before, Lars and Ronaldo are not my favorite characters. It's just that in this case, you got two different flavors of dumb. You got Lars, who, as we've consistently shown, is a jackass who consistently cares about his opinion and or his public opinion and how people view him to the point where he acts like a jerk to a lot of people. But then on the flip side, you got Ronaldo, who is Ronaldo. He's a conspiracy theorist. He thinks, I am the one that really knows what's going on. Know what the world is really like, and so on and so forth, to the point where it just honestly gets annoying. And unfortunately, they take up a major portion of the episode. While the episode tries to kind of favor things more in Ronaldo's case, especially since he is right about the lighthouse being technically haunted, at the same time, his actions throughout the episode really do not work well. Especially since, while I would understand if he would get annoyed by Lars being a Lars, at the same time, the way he does throw Lars under the bus and even pretty much just throws him right to the monster at the end, yeah, that does not bode well. It doesn't exactly help him out. Especially when Steven tries to jump in and save Lars, Ronaldo's warning against Steven says, "Don't, Steven, he's not worth it." Like, dude, up yours. Yeah, he's a jackass, but you want to feed him to a giant mouth. Yeah, I understand he wants to save Sadie, but that's an asshole move. And he openly, and even as things are coming alive and attacking the group, he thinks it's a poltergeist because some things are attacking Lars. And yeah, I said that some things seem to be specifically targeting him, but again, those are just some things. Based on how things are looking, it looks like most of the attacks are on all of the group. And that they just saw some of the stuff that seemed to be going after Lars, like that little disc that Ronaldo used the warning just smacked him in the head, or how a coffee mug almost hit him, or how when the scarecrows attacked, one managed to get inside and chase Lars. But why wouldn't it chase Lars? He's the only one not barring the door. On top of that, this thing went after Sadie. So I'm starting to think maybe it could be something else. Ultimately, he has kind of more of a basis for it, especially with the pulse around the Lars name, but he knows the source of that, so it really does feel like that some of this is out of spite, especially when in the end, when Lars is pleading with Ronaldo not to sacrifice him, he said, yeah, we were friends, and Ronaldo says, and you threw it away! So yeah, it's clear there's some personal bias in his words, and he's not just doing this because he thinks it's for the best of everybody. No, there's some personal spite in there, and it's kind of annoying. But I think what really works about the episode, believe it or not, is the scary stuff. I do kind of like the build up, and while it does feel like it comes a little out of nowhere, seeing the group have to survive the haunted lighthouse and just seeing the weird and surreal and strange as it gets more and more hectic and more violent, it really is off-putting, especially when you see the basement with the pulsating heart around the Lars name. I do like that. I guess ultimately one of the things that I do like also is kinda sorta the ending. I say kinda sorta because it looks like Ronaldo did try to mend things somewhat. And what I do like is that what led to Lars and Ronaldo breaking up their friendship was essentially both of them being kind of the asshole. In this case, Lars didn't consider Ronaldo's feelings because he knows Ronaldo likes the supernatural stuff, and so he never considered that maybe ripping up the photo that proves there's something supernatural going on in Beach City would get to him. But then likewise, Ronaldo never took a moment to realize maybe Lars could be embarrassed by this. Maybe we could figure something out. Neither of them talked it out, which makes sense. They were kids at the time, so it makes sense why they would probably not think these things through. And so by the end, when they both kind of see the flashback through the hologram from the gem, it does feel like that there could be a little bit of progress made to fix this, especially when Ronaldo does go up to Lars and say, "Look, I wasn't trying to embarrass you, right?" But nothing really comes of it, especially when Lars. The only thing that Lars does is saying, "I'm sorry, I ripped up the photo," and he really does feel like he's just saying it out of, "Oh, fine, and I know you guys think I'm the jerk here." It really just feels like he's doing it because he's expected to do it and not because he actually wants to do it. And in the case of Ronaldo, while it looks like he does try to extend a hand of friendship, Lars just seems to metaphorically bat it away as he just storms out. It's like, again, that doesn't really seem to go anywhere. And by the end, it really feels like nothing was really learned. And I mean, again, scratch that. Maybe Ronaldo learned something because he did actively try to talk to Lars, but Lars just stormed off. So, I didn't hate the episode, but it did feel lacking. It really did feel lacking. The best parts are definitely the build up with the haunted lighthouse and seeing things escalate until they get to the basement and see the pulsating Lars, and Steven learns it's a gem behind it. So that stuff's good. I like that, but the rest of the episode is just kind of meh to me. So sorry if you like the episode, but that's just my opinion. But then we get to Winter Forecast, and this one's a very interesting and surreal episode. On the one hand, it's also, again, another Steven and Connie episode, and I like those, because I always like seeing their relationship grow, especially since they both genuinely want to have something in common and just want to spend the night together watching the snowfall, which I think is really nice and just kind of a cute little couple thing that they can do. But but I think what makes it work is just kind of seeing how things escalate, as especially when in the future visions, as Steven intentionally tries to, well, he starts making bad decisions to try and keep Connie from going home, but ultimately these bad decisions do end up biting him in the ass because, well, by procrastinating with his dad, they go into a snowdrift, and as a result, they end up walking through the snow, and Connie gets sick. So they go back in time and say, well, maybe we should just stay in the van. That almost turned into a good decision, except Connie's parents, who didn't know about the snowdrift, what happened with the snowdrift, instead decide to send Connie's dad out, who can't drive for shit in snow. And as a result, Steven thinks, well, maybe we shouldn't go at all. Well, then that means he'd be at the epicenter of something big with the shooting star that if not handled properly, could explode and kill everybody. So, Steven finally makes the decision. I think we should just go. He realizes the right decision is literally to just not do anything and just go. Just and ultimately that's the right call, because by the end, they make it there safely, nobody crashes into anybody, and Steven and Connie do end up spending the night together and watching the snowfall. It's sweet and nice, and I do kind of like seeing how Steven comes to these decisions after he gets pulled back, quote unquote, so to speak, in the future vision segments, because what I like is that when he sees the little pattern on Greg's shirt, and then it starts having an effect on him, he does initially question what's going on, but then he realizes, I have another chance, and so he starts making different decisions because he knows what could happen if he makes the wrong ones. And so I do like that, and ultimately by the end, it does help Steven for the better, as he does make the responsible decision and says, we just have to go. Yeah, it may suck that we may not be able to spend the night together, but our safety is better than, but us being safe is better than us probably watching the snowfall. But by the end, because he made the right decision, they still do watch the snowfall. It's just at Connie's house instead of his, and it's still nice, tender, and sweet, and just kind of cozy, especially seeing them both just kind of just with Steven lying on the couch and Connie sitting down next to him, kind of sitting down with her back on the couch as they both look out the window. It's just sweet. I like it. On top of that, I think another thing that I like about this episode, it involves kind of Connie's dad. We see more of him in this episode, and we do see he's kind of more of a dork, as in the first Future Vision segment when Steven, Greg, and Connie are back at her house, and Connie's mom pulls Connie away so she can rest. He does say, I think you know where the door is, because you're standing in it. And then after that, it's clearly him trying to be imposing, but not really doing it well. And then there's the whole, I can come pick you up. And then you hear him over Connie's phone as you see him drive. He's like, oh, wait, I got this, though. Okay, I don't got it. Wait, maybe I'm in control. No, I'm not. And even finally, when in the segment where Steven says that Connie should just stay at his place, when Steven tells Connie's parents, you can't drink, Connie can't go because Mr. Maheshwaran can't drive. He's like, yes, I can. Like, no, you can't. Part of the reason why Connie was even willing to go at all was because Dr. Maheshwaran threatened that her husband would go and get her, and Connie was like, no! I think I'd like that. And on top of that, another thing I like, we see how it's nice to actually see how Future Vision works. Like Garnet said in the Future Vision episode, It's just like seeing alternate possibilities, and how and your actions in the present will shape whichever possibility ultimately occurs. And in this case, Steven sees several possibilities where he makes that ultimately occur because he made dumb decisions, and so based on those visions, he decides, I should do this. It's like Garnet said, they're in a sea of possibilities, and for this moment only, Steven's the one holding the map. I like that. I think it's nice, and it's cool that we get to see it in motion. So overall, Horror Club is meh to me. Some interesting stuff with the scares and so forth, but Ronaldo and Lars really do not make me enjoy this episode. They're not horrible in the episode. Lars is definitely worse than Ronaldo, but their respective attitudes do hamper my enjoyment of it, and by the end, it doesn't really feel like much was accomplished aside from the gem. And Winter Forecast, I think, is on, but Winter Forecast I find to be a sweet, kind, cozy episode that does well in showcasing furthering Steven and Connie's relationship, while also showcasing more of the future vision, and has a nice little tidbit of seeing more of Connie's dad. So, overall, fun times. Fun times. One episode, one nice fun, and one nice cozy episode. So, yeah, that's about it then. Thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I'll see you next week. Take care.